What's up, Rockstars? Another news video for you guys. I have Brian here from Game Brigade. He's going to be linked down below in the description. Be sure to check him out. But first, let's actually watch the video. Say hi.
Oh, well, hello.
All right. Thank you to my channel sponsor, Into the AM. Support the channel and get an awesome premium shirt I designed with them by using the link in the description below to purchase Eternal Guardian. From the lopsided crown, wolves, Norse throne, and more, this shirt is spectacular, and you can save 10% off when buying this fantastic shirt. Check it out and many other awesome shirts via the link down below. Okay, so obviously a different format. Turns out we live really close together, and he's not a terrible person, so I've been kind of trying to get to know Brian a little bit.
Not a total terrible person.
Not a total.
That's a good barrier.
Compared to me, anyway. You're not too bad. So anyway, yeah, there is a link down below, of course, to his channel. Go and give him a follow. If you want actual more information and maybe slightly less cringy opinion, you can check out his channel. Otherwise, you can stay tuned on this one.
Well, I appreciate that.
And get it leaned more one way or the other. We do have a lot to go over today. So
yeah, we're going to be going over a lot of stuff.
It's
coming soon, stuff released, updates.
Yeah, some canceled pledges, some tax stuff, lots of drama. It's going to be great. So starting with the bad stuff, let's talk about the Dark Quarter.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So I'm going to let you take the reign on this for a little bit because you actually have a review out for this.
Yeah, and I don't want to necessarily say the bad stuff with Dark Quarter. I think Dark Quarter...
that was me. I said that.
Dark Quarter by Lucky Duck Games and Van Ryder is active right now. It just launched today. Mm-hmm. And I've played it. I did a review of the game. Very similar to Destiny's if you've played that campaign or that game at all. Basically, it's an app-driven narrative experience. The biggest draw to Dark Quarter is the fact that you're able to level up your character and experience a singular narrative rather than individual characters in one-shots. So this game is obviously going to have hopefully a continual story through the 4 scenarios. But some of the things that we aren't sure of, especially as reviewers, we're not ever known about the... how the campaign's going to flesh out.
You just got one mission, right?
Yeah. We're told, hey, here's our game. Give us your thoughts.
As best you can.
Yeah, we don't know the price points are going to be. We don't know what the shipping's going to be. So I was a little disappointed regarding Dark Quarter, specifically regarding the price point that we're seeing, as well as the shipping pricing.
Yeah. So right here, let's see. The rookie is only $65.
Yeah,
I mean, that's well below average.
And it's So we're looking at the U.S. because it's €59.
Yeah,
right?
no,
you're converting, that's fine. Which is great. And so that might actually seem fine. Like a lot of people would look at a box game, a bigger box game. This is kind of an average box game.
I always say that, but I want the entry pledge to go low. But looking at the pledge numbers, nobody else cares. 259 backers there. That's not where everybody's at.
It's
right?
low.
Everybody's going to be, let's see, 1,335 at the 152 mark.
And I'll actually have, at the time this video goes up the same day, I'll have a full in-depth video about the Dark Quarter's whole campaign.
The campaign page itself.
So we'll go into more coverage there.
I'll link down to that below as well.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
No problem.
The thing that really struck me about this one regarding the overall price is actually in the shipping part. And this is something that we're obviously seeing a bigger trend. And this is obviously a very... a conversation point that
I think I know where you're going. I'm going to interject real quick to say that I hate how they posted this. So it's a Google sheet. So you have to click on an image that then takes you to a Google sheet that can be edited and changed at any given time.
Right here, click
yeah,
here.
Yeah. To actually see the stuff, you have to click on it, and then it loads up the values.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't like it all.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand the living document idea of that. And I think that's cool to do post, campaign.
In my superior technology than yours is not working.
Okay, that's fine. I have it on my screen right now.
I believe the estimated US was 22, EU was 7. Is that accurate?
Yeah. So it's 7 to 22. The US is way more. In fact, the US starts more than any other. Poland, Germany, France, Austria, Belgium, Luxembourg, wherever the heck that is. Rest of the European Union, United Kingdom, UK channel, Switzerland. All of them get it. Cheaper.
Yeah. So the reason I wanted to bring this up is we're talking about it and this is the part that's contentious. It's been basically VAT since January of 21. VAT has been
the question.
Has been the big thing. They're wrapping VAT into the cost of the pledge. U.S. Backers do not have to pay VAT. We don't have that. We have sales tax that we pay here, but it's not associated with Kickstarters.
No, and it's a much lower. It's like 6% versus 25
6
or
to
something.
10%.
Yeah, it's nothing.
But what I thought was interesting on this one, though, is that they're saying that for people that are not VAT countryed, i.e. United States, you will get a discount on your shipping.
Yeah.
Yet I'm not seeing that discount.
Yeah, we're seeing an increase.
I'm
and
seeing
everybody else
a
is seeing
opposite.
a sweet discount. 7 in Poland.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. 11 in Germany. Yeah. It says here the actual wording is VAT is included in the prices. The difference in tax is being put towards cheaper shipping for other countries.
Yeah.
I'm assuming other countries is just non-US.
I would assume that the countries that have VAT, your cost goes towards your VAT. Everyone else would get discounts on shipping. That's how I would read that sentence.
Yeah.
I just don't see that put into practice. But the other aspect, and I was going to talk about this on my video, is that the price difference between the base box of Destinies versus the base box of Dark Quarter is significant. So if we were to go...
Yeah, so the base, was it the Night Pledge here?
Just the night. I assume the night pledge.
$49 is what it shows in Gamefound.
Yeah, $49 comparatively to what, 60 some, 69.
Yeah, it's 65.
65. So you're looking at 49.
About 15.
It's a significant price difference. And so you get your free expansion here. You get a free expansion in Dark Quarter. So that's a wash. Destinies though included way more miniatures. Full suite of miniatures. You have, I think, over 30, although they're very small. They're Joan of Arc size miniatures.
Was that in day one, or was that a whole bunch of stretch goals?
I think that's part of the game. Like, I have the retail box.
Well, all stretch goals are pretty much part of the game.
Yes. So I'm not including whatever the myth and I didn't get that.
Sure.
So I only got the retail box, and it is full of miniatures, and you can buy that right now at $40 or less. Dark Quarter's base box only has 4 character miniatures plus a few NPCs, and then you can add on an additional purchase, which is what most people are buying in the pledge levels for more miniatures. So the question is VAT being added into the pledge? Are we seeing that cost? I mean, obviously we have inflation, we have COVID related cost increases across the board. We understand that. Are we seeing this price difference because we're getting less product and more cost?
Yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, you can't stop people from looking at that, right? Like the moment you have a second campaign out and it's similar in style or in format to the last one you did, people are going to look at it and compare apples to apples, whether it's fair or not. That's just how consumers are going to react, right?
I feel like if you were to look at the comparable pledge to Destinies, it's going to be closer to the $100 pledge for Dark Quarter to get all the miniatures. So not talking metal coins or
45
acrylic.
Small minis at 15 millimeters.
They're very small.
Yeah, because the Joan of Arc stuff. 2 big minis, 90 millimeters.
Yep.
And then a whole bunch of cards and 105 freaking map tiles.
Standard stuff.
My goodness.
Yeah, I think you actually got more tiles in Destinies that I can tell than Dark Quarter. So I just question, and this is the contentious question here is VAT being wrapped into campaigns negatively affecting the total price point here? And, where do you go with that?
So I'm gonna put it even one step farther. Okay. I think it's a scam. And here's why. Because you can't... the only way to accurately charge VAT is to charge VAT to the people who need to pay it. The moment you are saying it's included in the price, you have to assume a certain amount of backers from a certain location. If 5 times as many U.S. backers back it versus EU, and you charge the VAT on that, then you're just making money off of that now.
So let's talk about it. Hit the community tab here on the...
Yep, that's going to
we can actually see where the majority of backers are for a specific title. And generally 60% or more are usually United States based.
Yeah, so in fact, United States is more than every single other country listed.
Yep. So
at least on this, what is it, top 10?
A country that doesn't have VAT is being you're subsidizing countries that do have VAT, unfortunately. I mean, and this is a hard conversation because EU people I don't know how to I don't know how to sound like where I'm not blaming or something, but
Sure.
you definitely see it in the comment section where people get heated when they have to pay an additional 20%. I would get heated if I had to pay an additional 20%.
Sure, but you're also not receiving any of the things that it pays for.
True.
Right? But I mean, even if a company pays for VATs, like, oh, it's on us, it's from their profit. So it's coming from people putting money into the company, no matter what.
Yeah. And
but,
so
but to include it in the
it,
price, to say our price point is this, without knowing how many people from the U.S. are going to back it versus not, the number is going to be off.
Yeah.
And you're just now making profit off of that.
Yeah, and companies in a world, they want to make money. So if they're going to have an additional expense added to their product, they're going to try to find ways to push that to the customer.
Sure.
In any manner they can, gradually, of course. You don't want to just
sure. Ideally, it's a little bit more targeted.
Yeah,
I feel.
Yeah.
I think that's like I don't even want them to cover it. I think people should pay for whatever it costs to ship it to them. Right? Like I get that. That's totally fine. So, I don't have an issue with that. It's just looking at the numbers. If that is included in the prices, then they just made a lot of money.
And a lot of companies are going to flat out tell you, we're not including the price. This price would be
most don't. Yeah.
Would be this price regardless. I just have a hard time believing that when I could find games either at retail, such as like Arc Nova retail $55, has a ton of content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just hard to believe that you're telling me that this price of this game is not being affected by VAT. Maybe it's not. I don't know. This is all speculation.
Yeah. All I know is in this one, they're saying, hey, there's a discount, and some people are paying for it. And I see €7 and I see $22 for the same thing. And I'm seeing a discount. And I'm seeing paying for it. It's just, I think, a little backwards.
Yeah. So that's Dark Quarter.
Yeah. And that's not including, I mean, the whole game on offer.
And I didn't want to dive in the game. I'm going to talk about the campaign, the whole game on my video, as well as this. Although I wasn't going to go this deep into VAT, so it's kind of nice to have an outlet to kind of vent a little bit.
Exactly. And not bog down your channel. You'll bog down mine.
Yeah, bog yours down. Perfect. Bring all the hate over here. The drama llamas.
So
over
my 2 cents for those wondering on the actual game is I was actually looking forward to it. Because I was actually born in Mississippi. I went to New Orleans every 6 months for years down there. So like I love the style of it all. Like that all looks awesome. And I like mysteries and Sherlock Holmes kind of stuff and supernatural stuff and all that sounds awesome. And I actually saw your review and be sure to check it out. He's really great at covering it, but like I cooled down on it, like,
which is interesting because I didn't think I was that negative.
Well, no, it's because of what I heard from it, based on what I wanted, right?
Which is probably the whole point of a review. Is I gave my opinion, I shared my experience, then you take that and you say, well, is that for me or is it not for me?
Yeah.
So I'm glad to hear that it
helped me make a better purchasing decision by not purchasing that, which I mean, for me is good. For them, maybe not so much, but it's whatever.
I had a user in my Discord basically say that they were off of it for the same reason, because of the aspects where they feel like it didn't require the board game and all the aspects. Like
it's really light on, and that's after you've played Bad Karma.
Yeah,
right. Like you're saying that. Yeah, it's pretty light on that, and for me, it just seems kind of mindless. It just seems like kind of easy mode, like XP shared. You're just rolling dice. You don't really know the goal. You just want to get some successes, so you just kind of pick a number, and it just it's not meaty enough for me anyway.
So what he's referring to there with the dice rolling is in Destiny's, it's all skill check based. You don't know you're doing things. And you're testing.
It's all story, right? It's like, test strength or whatever.
Test your strength, test your charisma, test your investigative skills. But it'll be like, okay, you're going to look into a fire pit and see if you can find anything. Roll your investigative skills. I don't know how many successes I require.
Exactly.
If I'm going to find anything.
That's a killer for me. Because then I don't have a decision process on, well, do I want to spend this resource to add more chances, or do I want to re-roll that, or is 3 enough? Like I can make those decisions mechanically for a board game if I know. But if I don't know, I just don't. I barely care.
Yeah,
and I'll get what I get, I guess.
Part of that could be, you could get 1 success and get the reward. You could get 4 successes and get the same reward. And you spent all your dice to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
The only thing I don't know, obviously, is do you get different rewards? Do I find more? And the one thing, and this is probably my expectations of what I'd want. This is kind of a detective game. It's a crime solving game. The game will very specifically tell you when you have found everything there is to find
So
at a
it'll tell you to
location.
stop. Okay.
So
You
it
don't
will
just
tell you.
spin your wheels there doing
Correct.
nothing. Well, that's good at least.
As soon as you find whatever it wants you to find,
Mm-hmm.
the point of interest is removed from the app.
Oh, interesting.
So
Interesting.
what I don't like about that is like, because of the success. So if I did roll one success,
You never think, maybe I need to go back.
maybe
I
there's
missed
more.
something.
Maybe
Maybe
there's I missed something.
Mm-hmm.
In other detective games that I've played, sometimes you're like, man, we're kind of stumped. Maybe we should go back to the
Go
crime
back to a
scene
previous location
and see if there's
Yeah.
anything we missed at the crime scene. Let's
Exactly.
check it out again. So and what's funny is Chronicles of Crime, which is what people always refer to.
Which they did as well.
You could, you could do that because you'd have to look around on your phone and look for clues in the crime scene. Maybe you missed that clue.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Yeah, it just seemed too dumbed down for
it's
for
definitely
my
a
taste.
very light detective case.
It's an experience.
Yeah, and
right. You're
I think
going
that's the
through
point.
for the
Yep.
story, for the theme, for the characters, and all
You're
that.
playing it for the narrative experience, and that's really it.
Yeah, totally.
So what are we looking at next here?
We are now moving on to the DC deck building game 10th anniversary. Celebrate the 10th anniversary of DC deck building game with Injustice, a Flash versus Reverse Flash, multiverse boxes, and much more. I hate how much they put in that kind of stuff. This is by Cryptozoic Entertainment. I'm really covering this because I love Injustice. I tend to like the DC universe, I like the characters a lot more. For a variety of reasons. I like X-Men and a whole bunch of other Marvel stuff as well. I subscribe to their comic reading subscription online thing for years.
Would you say you're a bigger DC or Marvel?
Bigger DC.
Bigger DC?
Yeah. I tend to just like the characters more. I don't know. I
My
like
wife
them more.
makes fun of me because I constantly think I'm a Dark Knight, and she says you're a Superman.
You're a Superman.
You were the
yeah.
opposite of the Dark Knight.
Yeah, well, and then Injustice would be for you because it starts with him punching a hole in the Joker.
Oh, nice.
So anyway, I love card games. I know you love card games.
I do.
Have you ever looked into this one?
I haven't, but that's because I'm not. So IPs, depending on the IP, kind of pull me differently.
Sure.
DC doesn't pull me in the same manner as other products. I never read the
Totally
comic
understood.
books. The movies, I don't actually mind the movies, but they're also not like.
Have you seen the latest Batman?
No, I'm trying to.
Okay, well,
we're
then-
trying
then
to
you
go.
can't talk.
We need a babysitter to watch
Okay.
our daughter for 5 hours or whatever that movie is.
It's like a good 3 hours. Yeah, it's decent.
That's the hard part.
It's decent. Yeah, I hear you. I just took my kids. I'm
So
like,
if
whatever
you're,
you guys
if you're
are coming.
interested, we need a babysitter for
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, let's figure it out. So I also have not even looked at the mechanics.
Yeah.
So I have not backed this yet because I will look at the mechanics.
So
But-
is
but
this an
I-
LCG or what is
It
this?
looks like a living card game based off the fact that I see no booster packs. It's not whoring itself out with rare prints and Kickstarter exclusive stuff like that. Like they have this. Like if you look at the Injustice for All, which is a $70 minimum pledge, which seems like a lot, but that's just it. It's because you're not just buying 3 boosters or something
Yeah.
like that, right? You're buying the Injustice plus stretch goal stuff. But I think it's this next one here, the 135. It has an exclusive to reward tiers, the supervillain playmat junk, which is actually kind of a bummer for me that all the pledges above this include a playmat instead of just I feel like
Yeah.
playmats and all that extra stuff should be extra.
It should be at the very bottom tiers of the person.
Yeah,
who's
either an
working.
all-in or
Yeah.
just always an add-on.
Yeah.
One or the other. Including that in there, I'm assuming the playmat's neoprene. I imagine it's stitched, whatever. So I need to look into this more. That being said, it's been around for 10 years and it's still in print, so I'm assuming it's not terrible.
Yeah.
Right? Or I just don't think, even with the DC branding, it just wouldn't survive. I don't think.
I mean, it's got a good looking storage solution here. It very much reminds me of Marvel Champions when you're looking at the how to play section in terms of the lineup, like the way they've got it sorted. But again, I don't know how the cards interact with one
Yeah,
another.
and it doesn't do a good job at this, like explaining how to play the game.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because it's been around for 10 years. It
Maybe
assumes, like,
they're
a lot of people
expecting the
know,
audience
but
that is
no,
interested.
well, here two of us making YouTube videos on this stuff and we don't even know. So, missed thing there. Like, I'm just trying to see.
Experts in our field.
Is it co-op or is it competitive? I don't know.
It looks
I'll
cooperative.
look over it. It looks like actually there's a big blue section here. How to play. You just got to scroll down past all the pretty pictures. So, anyway, each player starts with 20 health. Wow, I've never heard that one before. All right. Anyway, yeah, this is now finally here. I'm excited about it. I'm sure talk more about it, especially if I do back it or don't. I'll let you guys know. But I'm not going to spend forever on that. Escape from Stalingrad Z 69,992 by almost 1,000 backers. This actually kind of surprises me.
Yeah, we were talking about this. We kind of added this late into the segment of games we're going to discuss.
Yeah, well, it also like just launched.
Yeah,
too,
today,
so.
right?
Yeah,
Today?
yeah. It's like literally new today. Yeah.
And so we were just kind of shocked at how well this game is doing comparatively to other games that have been launching at the same timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And what to me is the most shocking is the game doesn't really show me very well of how the game is played or what I'm trying to do. And the video is kind of
useless, like half of them.
Yeah. Do you have any takeaways on this one?
It's expensive. It's actually kind of interesting because if you look at the backer count on each pledge tier, it's pretty well spread. Like there's not a clear winner on people like this. Way more. Like there's 171 in the 176 pledge. I mean that's a new descent. That's a software developed app. That's 3D terrain. Right, $180. And that's like the retail price of that.
You're making it goes a big jump from
it really
48
does.
US to 150 US. It's a significant jump.
Yeah.
Between it. And again, my suggestion with people is you never need the all-in. In most cases,
you just want the all-in.
You just want the all-in. Yeah. You know. Yeah. Be careful with all these games. I will say the aesthetic is interesting. I'm not a big Call of Duty Zombies player,
which is really what this is.
It really looks like the influences are coming heavily from that. If it gives you an interesting experience of an exploration, exploration, a dungeon crawl with some good mechanics, I could see it being a fun game. It's a theme that I obviously don't have in my collection. It's something that you're probably not going to have too many World War II zombie games in your collection. So again, I could see it finding a spot, but it really depends on the gameplay mechanics and how well do they provide. And who's making this? What has Raybox done in the past?
I don't know. You can click on and let me know. I'm looking here. They show off a fancy prototype with like resin minis and a foam tray. Like it's weird to show off your prototype. That's kind of odd. Like it says boxes and then it says example of prototypes. So I don't know what that is there.
That looks like the most inefficient storage solution.
It looks like a prototype. Like I get a lot of stuff shipped like that, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you just whatever.
I would not expect to see that as a retail.
But then like they have playthrough videos, but it's just like links with like generic. Like there's just no coverage of it. Yeah, it's just there's really no outreach.
And this is interesting, but I have a hard time trusting games if they haven't sent it to some people that I can see that I trust or have at least a working knowledge of how they operate. Yeah, and none of their games I don't know any of their games.
They've done nothing. Yeah. But I mean, and 70,000 isn't like huge, but it's certainly viable for a little indie thing. I'm just surprised by the amount of backers. This must be a lot of $1 backers actually. What is it? 103? All right. Anyway, that's available too. Nightmare Cathedral. This one is wrapping up. This one
2 days to go on this one.
So by the time of posting this is like your last day. So this is your reminder. If you were interested, go ahead and look at it. This one's interesting because I thought it was going to do very well. It's a very well-known artist.
Yeah, and a lot of people talk about that. I feel like that's like a continuing narrative. I thought this one would do even better.
Yeah,
and it just isn't. And so the question is why? What they have coverage. They've got the art assets. Is the art too off?
I don't think it's that at all. I think it's not the game people expected because essentially, so you have this kind of ethereal view, right? Kind of an Ether Fields on steroids.
And that's how I looked at it. When I heard the nightmare dream.
Exactly. And then they're talking about nightmares and stuff like that. And you're thinking it's like some kind of deep dive into that. And it's really not. You're just trying to build a cathedral.
Yep.
Like it's not using the IP to, I think,
it's almost like the nighttime version of Hamlet.
Yeah. A little bit. Except I actually wanted Hamlet and I don't want this.
Yeah, same actually.
Yeah, and if I wanted more than this, and this has minis.
Yeah, and arguably this has like more interesting art. Yeah, that's funny because I wanted Hamlet too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I played too much Banishment. It's just I really like that style of video game. And so if I was ever to solo a board game, it would be something like that. Yeah. In fact, because it wasn't super solo, it was actually like semi-competitive, was why I didn't back it.
No.
Anyway,
I didn't back it 'cause
this is still last minute. It is very unique, so I'm sure the people that are backing this is like their jam. There's like 1,600 people here.
I mean, it's got 1,600 people is not bad. So when we're saying we expected more, I just felt like this could probably be like more of like a 400,000 euro game.
That's exactly around the thing I was doing. The same thing,
like
same
maybe
feeling.
3 or 4x of what it's doing now.
It could bring in some people who might not even necessarily want the board game, so some outside appeal. It has a very cool idea of this nightmare world, and you're trying to navigate and all this stuff, and then it just ended up being kind of I don't even know how you would describe it. Just kind of Euro-y.
It just kind of fell flat for people.
Yep. Doesn't really use it. Okay, speaking of one that does use it, Robotech. This
is a waste
launched,
of time.
Skip over this part. This launched, was canceled, and then relaunched.
Which is common. We didn't
in one day.
Well, it depends again on the pledge levels or whatever the heck they did. Kickstarter has a thing that if you screw up something in a pledge level, you can't change it if someone's backed at that level.
Correct. Now, there was a lot. I saw the feedback. There was a lot more feedback than just any pledge level.
So they must have.
But Kickstarter has to approve it. So the Kickstarter was pretty quick on approving the relaunch, which was, I think, good for them. Because I'm not. Normally, you pay for some advertising, you pay for all this stuff for content creators to see your stuff and all that. And so losing your launch window can be detrimental. Unless it's really needed. I think the issue here is the fact that it's by some no-name people that have never done a Kickstarter or anything like that from Hong Kong that, just is like brand new to the world of Kickstarter. They have all these super fancy resin miniatures. It's like ultra premium. It shows here that the basic edition is $58. That's for 4 minis. The core edition, I always tell people don't use the word core unless you really mean it as in most people should be here. Like the core is just to me a word especially basic. Like this seems like you may as well said cheap and then the real deal. You could have named it that.
This is the deal you want. The core is the one you want.
Which is $128 for 16 minis.
Yeah, now again, a significant price increase.
They're big. They're resin. They look pretty. It also shows an estimated delivery of December 2022. Did you see that?
That's not going to happen. You'll be getting this game if you get this game
in like 2026.
I was gonna say 2024 at minimum.
This is gonna be a delayed one. I can almost guarantee it.
If you actually go to the comments, I love it that the people are throwing some shade here. William here is saying that if he's not going to be getting this game, which he doesn't expect it, he wants his cost of his imaginary games to be better.
That's awesome. If I'm going to throw away my money, I'd rather it be on a good price point.
Yeah. If I'm throwing my money away, can we at least get the cost per mini down to $1.25 each? Because I really want my imaginary games.
Oh my gosh. Who's Kevin? Kevin's incompetence aside.
Oh my gosh. I love. To be honest, sometimes Kickstarter comments are the best.
Yeah, so I guess for a good time, there's a link down in the description for this as well. Go ahead and dollar back it, I guess, and see what's going on. It's unfortunate because Robotech has already had like terrible Kickstarters, and it's just apparently continuing. If you're a fan of Robotech, I am sorry. You deserve better, I'm sure. There's a lot of guns on that ship, though. That's all I know.
The starting photo, it's just a mess.
It's just, I don't even know what I'm looking at there. Assault on Doomrock Ultimate Edition. This one's kind of interesting. It's coming out in a little bit less than a week now.
Yeah, so you sent this one to me, and you were like, "Hey, what are your thoughts on it?" And originally, I shoved it off. I was like, not interested.
Yeah.
But actually, as I dove into the game a little bit and learned about it, it does interest me a little bit. You create your character. You're going to have some positive traits. You're going to have some negative traits. No one's going to be perfect. And then you are going to head on out. I believe this is the dice rolling one where you're going to be rolling your dice and assigning it to actions to complete, the boss fight or whatever fight you're going to be completing in.
Yeah. So we got lots of dice.
Yeah.
And the description's great. Just like ordinary cubes, but without them, nothing is possible. Also, they're red.
Yep.
Like I appreciate the kind of tongue in cheek.
They're very red.
And I feel like that's kind of throughout the whole thing. It's not a very it reminds me of the kind of funny roguelite video games you get. It's interesting because I first was turned on to it just by the name. I was like, Assault on Doomrock. That sounds awesome. That sounds super like retro synthwave kind of like a 90s He-Man knockoff thing. Yeah, exactly. Assault on Doomrock.
I'd be playing on my Sega Genesis.
100%.
In '97 with my underwear only.
Yeah,
underwear and socks.
The same underwear I have right now. Yeah, holes and all. But it is a little abstract. So it has an open movement system where you have like these tokens, and then you like move from token to token. You can like become engaged. So it's kind of like
It does talk about
it's
did you
odd.
did
It's
you
odd.
scout, like how much
Yeah,
information have you learned
it's a
about your
little
enemies?
abstract, and I think
Yeah.
that's what prevents me from doing it.
The only thing that I'm actually really hesitant on is the art.
This right here. This is the like engaged versus not, and there's no like grid
Yeah.
or anything like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like haphazard, just like let's throw some tokens on a board.
Yeah. It's like if Warhammer 40K, but minus the Warhammer and the 40K.
Yeah, minus the good parts.
Yeah. If you want to tag generic skulls, this is your game.
So
this is
to me, the art is also not. I mean, it's just not. Go up a little bit. The player board. Maybe not that section. It was. What am I looking at here? Whatever.
It's probably one of these. Like I hate this scroll thing that they do here, right? Or it's really hard to see. It reminded me
this
the
thing,
art.
whatever this is. If you can find this.
Oh, I see.
This just didn't look as exciting to me, and I didn't really care for the way the art direction was. And to me, art. The game's got. It
reminded me of Kingdom Rush a little bit.
Yeah, it's got to really capture me a lot to make me push the pledge button, especially because we've had so many good games on crowdfunding in the last few years that the competition for shelf space is really high now.
Yes, and if you're going to set it out and actually look at it for an hour or so, you want it to be good. Yeah, I have no idea where you saw that picture.
Yeah,
but
who knows?
Anyway, that's that one. It's coming out. And a lot of people do like it. Like this is like a second. This is the ultimate edition.
Yeah.
There's been a previous one. Let's look at games that are or campaigns that are launching. I shouldn't say games.
We should have said that before when we talked about Assault on Doom.
Whatever.
That was also
whatever.
That was.
It's fine.
We've screwed up our segments.
I don't care. So this is Nananakakai Kukaiki, Dawn of the Gods. Pro tip: Senko Kushin has taught us, or Senko Kumberbach, or Senko whatever, or anything else people call it. If people can't spell your game, or if people can't say your game, you're gonna have crap SEOs. You're gonna have it's just like people are gonna be like, oh, what was that game? And they're not even gonna be able to think of it because it's some made up junk anyway.
It also has a very generic headline title, Dawn of the Gods.
Yeah, it's whatever the heck that means. The art here on the box looks like non-attention grabbing. So this is coming out at April 26th. It has 80 miniatures. It's interesting they even say in 16 different poses. So you can get 15 of each or
I honestly hate alt art. Or alt sculpt.
Alt sculpts.
minis.
It just increases the price. Yeah.
It increases the price, increases the storage. Had that issue with I think Steamforge games.
Tear down and set up take longer than well, tear down essentially.
I don't really care if I have different poses unless there's games that do the hips minis where you can adjust them.
Sure,
to keep a central mini.
Yeah. Well, and you could have a generic storage thing too. You don't have to make them super vacuum trade. There are other ways of doing it, especially with a good lid.
Normally, what I do is I just put them in a baggie and just shove them in the box.
No, you just made 3 people unsubscribe. Don't talk like that.
They were like,
so they were right on the edge. Channel. They were right on the edge anyway. And the moment they heard minis in a bag, they're like, what does this channel become? I find it funny. When was the last time you saw a Euro game on Kickstarter that didn't say hybrid Euro game? Or Eurogame with some Ameritrash.
They're trying. All of them want to be.
When was the last time that was full on? We are Eurogame 100%. We didn't do anything with it. It's always a hybrid. It's always it's like Eurogame, but actually fun. Or it's like they're using the word I think to mean balanced and strategic.
Yeah.
Right. But then they want to make sure that they're also not dry as the Sahara Desert and boring. So then they put hybrid, whatever the heck that means on there.
Well, and they also, a lot of companies, we've seen, I think 2 to 3 campaigns do the 4X. We're a 4X game, but we're not just that. We're also a Euro.
Yeah. Or it's we're going to say 4X, but really we don't exterminate. Or
we had, what was that?
Or whatever.
What was that big one? Voidfall, I think.
Voidfall, yeah.
You had Fractal. So we've had a few games that have done this 4X thing, but they don't want to fully commit to the 4X.
Yep.
They're going to try to ride the line on the Euro
or they do the 4X, but they're not all winnable strategies, right? To me, a 4X is I could choose one, just do that, and win the game.
Yep.
And a lot of it's well, you're going to do all 4 of those, but to win the game, you are actually doing quests or whatever the heck junky you have going on there. Yeah.
In the Euro game, generally, one of the things that makes Euros interesting is action, the action selection you're doing, but also limited because people are competing for those actions. I feel like these type of games really they're 2 different types of games conflicting with each other in terms of what they want to do. And I'm wondering, do you sacrifice gameplay by trying to be unique with
Yeah,
with
yeah.
the hybrid.
You're just trying to get the buzzwords in that little sentence here, where it's
Interesting.
true solo, hybrid, Amerithrash, Euro. Like you can just throw them all in there and really deck building.
Yeah, deck building, hand management,
worker placement.
No dice throwing.
Dudes on a map. Yeah, exactly. Drafting. Just everything. Yeah,
that sounds like a really good game. Actually, I back that one.
I sold myself on it. Okay, Anastyr. That's coming out on the 19th.
And the buzz has been interesting on Anastyr in terms of people's. I don't know. Are we getting burnt out from Mythic Games or what's going on?
I mean, apparently 8,620 people aren't.
I mean, they're following, but that doesn't mean.
Shoot, I even clicked save. I didn't know if I did or not. I rarely do.
Anastyr looks interesting to me. Obviously, they're trying to take the role of the beat 'em up style games from the 90s.
Yeah, well, they actually bought that system from the failed Metro City.
Interesting.
Or Metro. It was like Metrocity.
Yeah.
So Mega Metro City is what the campaign was. It was like an 80s theme one, and it was very much a side-scrolling thing. Yeah, it failed, and so they actually bought it
let's
up.
Get on that.
Yeah.
Failed projects. Let's gobble that up and make.
That's Mythic Games thing, right? That's their Phoenix line. Yeah. They're like, hey, everybody has because you can have a good idea.
Yeah, I actually don't think it's a bad
right?
idea.
But you can be crap at running a campaign.
Yeah.
Right? Or whatever, right? You don't get review copies out, you don't do whatever. And Mythic Games is really good at the campaign. It's debatable on the
I was
going to
say
thing,
Mythic
right?
Games knows how to make campaigns.
They 100%
do. They know how to make games?
Yes. Have you played Six Siege yet?
No,
it's fantastic.
You haven't brought it over.
It's fantastic. I will before I ship it out. Actually, yeah. I'll borrow it. It's fun. It's really good. It's really good. Joan of Arc, if it was like at all playable during the 1.0, and it wasn't like totally not, was one of my favorite games.
To give some context, if anyone's unsure, I love Mythic Games' games in terms of the feel and the theme and the production value.
Reichbusters would have been fantastic if it had been developed for like 6 more months.
Yeah, I just feel like they make a lot of campaigns. They're constantly churning out. I think they might have like 6 active campaigns right now.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because they're not like Enchanters isn't theirs, right?
No.
Rise of Necromancer isn't their game. They're just running the campaign.
You've got
right?
Hell, you've got Six Siege.
Hell's the big one that's delayed. They're delivering Super Fantasy Brawl Round 2 right now.
Yeah, it's delivering right now. Mm-hmm. So my thought is, it's a small team. They do enough testing with all these games. Anastyr looks good.
Yeah.
I think the mechanic is interesting and fresh with the side scrolling. You're placing a new map. You're kind of moving along.
Yeah.
I like the idea. They're trying to do it with the mount system in terms of how well do you interact with the mount you have in this game, your creature mount, and fight and whatever. I think there's something here. I've definitely have, because of past experiences with lack of quality control, I'm always as hesitant on Mythic games.
You're not the only one. Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where, I mean, first of all, they need to get Hell out the door. Yeah. Like that's a big.
Hell was a 2020 release or Kickstart, and I don't think they even have a game yet. Mm-hmm. I think it's still multiple years in development.
Yeah, and we could talk about when you bring something to Kickstarter, when it's too early versus too late, and maybe a future video. But anyway, the cool thing, the interesting thing you might be interested about this that you probably don't know is the card combo system is like a kind of a long-term reward, short-term reward thing. So you can play them. Did you ever play Rockbusters?
No.
Okay.
I heard negative things about it, so I didn't.
The noise check. Anyway, you can play a card and the card does something, right? Yeah. But then you can like essentially play it to like slot it in, and there's a symbol under there, and then you do another one, and then that can unlock a combo ability that then allows you to headbutt or summon something or whatever. Yeah. So you have the like short-term. I played this card
a little bit.
Exactly, and then within that combo of cards are combos that unlock new things. So it's kind of like a weird meta combo system that's kind of interesting. I haven't played it yet, like legitimately. So
Reichbusters?
No, this is Anastyr. This is Anastyr that's like this. Yeah. I have seen some of the back end stuff. The minis are insane. Like they have not shown. Like I don't know how they hold back.
Yeah.
Like and they don't just like blow it all open because if they just showed a few of the minis that I saw, like. Well, we at least beat it 9,000.
Mythic Games is definitely up there with like Simon Games.
Oh, Solomon Kane is fantastic as well.
Oh yeah, that's
Solomon
another
Kane's
one I've
awesome
wanted to try.
game.
So that's the thing. There have been. I always said if they can release a game that's good and playable, I'll start.
It just sucks when it's half the time, right?
Yeah, and it sucks because it's not games I backed. I didn't get Solomon Kane, and I didn't back.
You're backing all the rock, but you did back Joan of Arc.
I backed Joan of Arc.
Even 1.5.
And I'm waiting on Rainbow. I think Rainbow Six and Hell were the last two from them that I backed.
Yeah. I think you'll like 6.
Yeah, I'll probably like 6, and I think I'll get Hell when my daughter goes to high school. I think.
Sure. Yeah. It'll be a nice. It'll help that empty nest syndrome thing going on there. All right, enough of Anastyr. That's coming out. Maladum. This is again another kind of terrible name. I think this is the fantasy version of Core Space.
Yeah.
You don't care about this at all, so I'll talk about this one.
And I was going to say,
fine. It's whatever.
I'm curious. If you look at the photo, we've got a full spread of a dungeon or a village.
Yeah.
And I don't know enough about this game to know, is this what I'm buying? Am I buying a village? So originally when I saw this, I was like, because it says battle system, I was like, is this, am I just buying decorations? Because we've seen that before.
Sure.
Or is this an actual game deep into it? So obviously it's a game.
Yeah, well, and that's what's ironic is, I mean, you're on a page that has the titled rules preview that is almost nothing but game and content and rules.
Yeah.
But you still have that question. I don't think you're the only one either.
I wasn't going to read this this wall text.
I didn't either. I don't care. Battle Systems is a terrain company.
Yeah.
That ended up making a game called Core Space. They did the like Red Rocket Diner for the Fallout Wasteland Warfare, for instance. They do some really cool terrain stuff here. And they did Core Space, which is kind of a semi co-op mercenary thing where you're not like let's say it's kind of like the hero cleanup video game kind of thing, right? Where it's like you're just there to steal some stuff while the fighting's going on, maybe shoot at each other, and then take some stuff out, right? It's kind of the thing you're doing here. And that was Core Space, which was sci-fi. Now they're doing fantasy, so it's minis. You're going in the game. Apparently, it's really fun. My patrons will not shut up about it.
Really?
It's like hyper annoying, just because I get so frustrated because the art design I think is garbage. So this top picture that's pretty much brown and brown. It's like that's not a sepia wash. It's just the game is sepia. And Core Space was the exact same. It was very drab and dreary and like
just
samey.
Bunch of grays.
And so it's like their design thing. That's fine, but to me it makes this beautiful looking terrain that would be super cool look ugly to me. Like it just looks messy. It's very detailed, right? Like it has all the spider webs on it and everything like that.
To challenge you on this thought a little bit, what would you want them to make it look like? What do you make a castle, a rundown castle look like?
Yeah. Well, so for instance, if you look at this floor here, that is literally all the same thing. You could have rugs. You could have bear pelts. And so they got nothing. They got
something.
And a rug could be red. Right, you could have that with some yellow tassels, and you could have,
you want to see a little bit more color.
Sure. Maybe make one wall been repaired, so it's like this gray stucco versus the various shades of brown you got going on there. It just, I don't know. It just doesn't look good to me. Like I feel like you could do a lot more.
I'm actually
art design wise
okay because I think it's fine to me. I don't hate it. I would probably be fine with it, but it's also because. I know. I could see myself playing on this. I'd
still play on it. Yeah. If somebody else wants to buy it and play it, well, it sounds like you will. So there you go. You'll back this. The one you didn't want me to add to this list. I know. And then I'll play it.
That's because he sent me a freaking
I didn't read it.
Essay. And
this and everything else is linked in the description. Of course, you can go and check out all of these rules and these ugly pictures yourself if you so wish. I wish that this looked different.
So let's talk about Far Cry.
Let's talk about what was.
Far
Cry,
let's
right?
have a moment of silence.
Yeah. Okay, that's more effort than what they did. So Far Cry Beyond, I actually added this when it was launched.
Yeah.
And then it's now canceled.
Yeah. So what do you think was the leading factor? I mean.
Okay, so before we even look at the campaign, I'm going to swap over to this article from Dicebreaker. If you want to swap down there and scroll all the way to the bottom, and I want you to read the last paragraph there. It's like a sentence.
Considering that the quality?
Yes. Okay. Go ahead and read that.
Considering that the quality of licensed board games has improved substantially over the last few years, it's disappointing that this particular example lives up to the stereotype of being a by-the-numbers board game that's been given a fancy IP colored coat of paint.
Now look at the date of this article.
Well, what can you just tell
It's
me?
at the very top. No,
October
go ahead.
19th, 2021.
2021.
So
that's
this
the
girl,
problem. Is this game has been garbage from the beginning.
Yeah.
People who have played the game were saying it's garbage publicly.
Yeah.
And it looks like nothing changed.
So it's interesting because I had zero interest in backing Far Cry. Mostly because it didn't feel like a Far Cry game.
Exactly. It's not attached to anything, right? It's the IP minus the IP. It's just a name.
Last night, I went through the whole campaign.
Why?
Because I wanted to know what the game was. So I was like, what?
Sure.
What am I backing? Sure. First off, it's a legacy game.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really say that.
Correct.
Like, there's nowhere here saying, hey, you're buying this, which is a little annoying because they reveal spoilers in terms of like some of the minis.
Yep.
Like you've got this abomination, like that stuff's spoiling because now we're seeing that the game
because once you say legacy, you expect to be introduced to things over. Yeah, exactly.
So they didn't really understand what they were trying to sell. Are we selling Far Cry? Are we selling a legacy game? Are we selling a beat 'em up brawler game?
This is why they say like the IP. So if you're not going to use the characters and the story of Far Cry, then you have to define what is Far Cry. One of the big things is open world, and you can tackle things in the way you want to, and you have this like meta progression on the map where you're gaining outposts or whatever.
Yeah, it's
and
an area
kind
control
of stuff.
game where
you have a lot
you're
of guns,
gaining variety,
a lot of weapons at your disposal, and this has none of what I just mentioned.
What's interesting is some people also shout like, "Oh, I love the art of this game." I personally did not care for the art.
It is all over the place too. Like there's already videos that like are set private and whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, so there's this main one here, right?
Yeah, it's on the splash screen,
which is hideous, of course. But then, but then you have these cards, these stark white cards that don't match that at all. I mean, they just are glaringly white and gray and like super sharp lines and not retro at all. And then you have these like stylized names that you see over here, right, on all the different things, and each one's different. And then they don't even explain a lot of this stuff. Like this board, you have a tray that then you put map tiles on. Like, well, what's the purpose of the tray? Can you explain the tray? Why am I buying a tray?
It's a new technology called a tray. Tile holder that goes on top of your table.
Oh yeah.
It really makes zero sense.
Yeah, and then you look at this A2 map. It's not only a generic picture of the United States, but
it's really bad.
But again, like Far Cry was never across the U.S. It was one area that it's just not Far Cry. And then this add-on box is now all this white on white on white on light gray.
Which is funny because I actually prefer that design
over the other one. Well, it's because it's not ugly. It's just glaring and kind
it's
of
still
boring
bad though.
And drab.
The art is bad.
It's all over the place.
I think this was a very good example of a game that had potential. I think the game might have been good. I don't think they knew how to market it properly. I think the IP was a detriment rather than a help. And I'm curious to how much Madigo, right? Madigo is the one who did this, or no?
Funforge.
I wonder how much Funforge paid to get this IP.
I don't know. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Now it's been canceled. That being said, I don't see it coming back and being a success because I don't think there's enough wrapping you can do because it's just not a good game.
So,
that's what the Dicebreaker says, right? What their article says is essentially there wasn't a whole lot of choice. There wasn't really any kind of engaging parts of it. The story was very lackluster. It didn't feel like it's one thing to have a game that's good that has an IP that doesn't fit. But when you have a bad game with an IP that doesn't do anything for it,
so
how are you going to spin that?
I could see them taking the system, reworking, and making the game
it fun,
different game,
maybe.
And they have the Far Cry IP. Who knows how long that IP lasts for? But they immediately come back and come with a different Far Cry.
They're going to have to. Most IPs with licensing, you have to deliver something.
Yeah,
like you're given a timetable.
So they might come back with a whole different game. I suspect it's not going to be this one in terms of the Far Cry.
Yeah, and I'd be cautious too. Like if they're making a game after the fact, it's a long ways out, right? So anyway, that was fun. That was something.
So we're gonna go into some updates. This is just talking about things that are happening currently on crowdfunding, keeping you guys aware. This one is more of what the hell are they thinking? What is going on? So we currently have Rallyman Dirt up, but I want to take a look at Holy Grail Games because they actually have a game that's on crowdfunding right now on Kickstarter, Encyclopedia, which looks great. And this is one of the reasons I talk about when I do my campaigns. We can go back to Holy Grail.
You say Holy Encyclopedia looks great?
I think it looks good.
It doesn't sound great.
I think it looks very good. I'm not sure the gameplay. It's a dice placement game with Darwin.
Yeah, I almost fell asleep looking at the board.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not a Euro player, I mean, it's not your cup of tea.
I'm not in Europe right now.
So, but it looks like an interesting dice placement game. If we go back, though, this is one of the things I constantly try to stress to people when you're backing games is look at the past campaigns and how are they performing?
100%. Yeah.
Where are they at?
Yeah, where are they at on this?
So if we look at the last update that was on April 11th, they are talking about the production of Rallyman. And where are we? And basically they are saying we haven't even produced. And
this is the 18th update in production, actually.
Yeah, and they're basically saying, hey, we were going to get all ready to produce, but unfortunately there's a lockdown again in Shanghai where our factory is, and that is the reason why we're not able to produce. This game launched, let's see, I think it was July 2nd, 2020.
Yeah, estimated June or July 2021 delivery.
Correct. So we are well beyond the delivery date. And so when a company comes up and they're saying this, and now they're actively running another campaign, I just need people to make sure you're aware of what kind of delays you can expect for Encyclopedia. If we are still not even in production yet for a game that was 2 years ago, what can we expect for the new products going forward? Because this is not all CV19 delays, right?
No.
This is many other things going on here.
It's a business delay that happens to be affected by that as well as whatever ineptitude is going on in the back end to be able to get this going. And
I wanted to actually, in my mind when I thought of this segment, I wanted to bring it up differently because I want to talk about Bard Sung, because I was going to ask you if you got Bard Sung, because you did, right?
Yep.
Bard Sung came in after Rallyman on Kickstarter and has delivered.
And delivered. So did Uprising. Same thing. In fact, Uprising now has their second campaign preview page up and is going to launch their second campaign before this one even delivers.
And so in Uprising was from Nemesis Games, who's an independent indie
new creator.
Who normally are the ones who face the biggest troubles.
Not some big... Holy Grail Games, first of all, this is not their first rodeo, even on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, in board games. Yeah.
So I don't know. So moral of the story, always do background research before you back a game and prep your expectations of I might get this game in 2 years.
Yeah, and it's your money, and if you want to fund what you want to fund and you're okay with it, that's fine. But just be okay with it. What you don't want is 2 years of all backers complaining.
Yeah, and that's what happens.
Yeah, that's every time.
Another one I want to talk about was Stellaris. This is a game that should be delivering right now, is what their delivery date is set for. And if we go to their recent update, we can see that they are now discussing the ship designs that they are changing. And so this shows another company. This game was supposed to be delivered in February 2022, and we haven't even finalized the game. So these guys, Academy Games, are still so far behind. I would expect maybe 2024 at this point.
Yeah, they're a ways out
for a production. So again, really upsetting to see these companies who have not given enough forethought in terms of being aware of what's happening in the world and giving expectations.
It's not even that. And so I kind of mentioned this earlier in the video, actually, and this is why I wanted to bring it up here, because I remember covering Stellaris.
Yeah, same.
And I mean, people didn't like me at the time because it's a very popular game, as you can see, because it's a popular IP. But I mean, for a popular game to be a popular game, it has to be a game.
And this game sold on IP alone because the campaign was
that's
awful.
what I was about to say.
Yeah,
there wasn't really a super duper game
there was nothing
yet, right? It was very early on. I bet they put more effort into the photos, making it look good versus the actual hardcore campaigns. This is one of those things where the Everrain, which was also heavily delayed, all these kind of games that come to Kickstarter really early in the development cycle. Right, that's the issue. Is not every game you look at on Kickstarter is ready to ship. There are some that are pretty much a pre-order system. People complain about that, right? And there are some that are so early. But then they
get their games.
Exactly. And then there's games that are so early in development that they are years out potentially, and because you might think you're really close, and then you find out, oh, this isn't working. This campaign system isn't working. Have to redo the whole campaign system. That's what happened with Trudvang. Same thing.
I think Hell is the same.
Yep, exactly. Hell was the same thing. It came in way too early. And you'll notice all of them don't have external like prototypes and stuff like that. It's normally the game designer themselves talking about the game, and it's all in their head. It's all fluff. So when you like, feel free to go back and look at this and try and figure out how far along in development is this game. How close to being done is it? And I mean, there's pros and cons. Like, you don't want to be completely done per se, but you don't want to be so early that you don't even really have a game.
I think you should be, when you come to Kickstarter, I think you should have a fairly fleshed out product. I think you should have a prototype that's this is the game. Yeah. Because you're coming to crowdfunding, and I get it. Some people are like, oh, it's the idea, and we're in the ether.
Well, yeah, but then what are you advertising? Sinjitsu did that to me, right? They sent a prototype, and then when I reviewed the prototype they sent me to review, they're like, oh yeah, but it barely reflects the game because it's changed so much since then. And if you're in that much development, don't be on Kickstarter nonetheless sending out, like, because then it's like what you're showing off isn't even what it's going to be.
Then Truvon had the same issue where they changed the game so much, people are saying, well, I want a refund because that's not the game I backed.
Exactly, because it's just changed so much.
So I think to me, a better thing to come to crowdfunding is have your game nearly done, where you're basically ready for production. You just need the funds to
actually push it there.
To get it there.
And maybe finish stuff like story, right? Or like fine tuning the end game mechanics. But even then, that's an issue. That's what happened with Madara. Now that they're into like Act 2, Act 3, and they got Pete on board, the math doesn't work. Yeah. The math works for Act 1, but when you propagate to Act 2 and 3, it gets a little ridiculous. So they have to rework some of the math and the mechanics, which means reworking part of Act 1 again.
Oh, that's interesting.
Just to have it like go to the very end. Because you get to the finish line, you realize, wait, this isn't working anymore.
It's almost like Star Wars.
It's almost... Gosh dang it. I mean, I was in a good mood, too. Why do you got to do that? All right. Speaking of failures, let's go to Riot Quest. So this is kind of interesting. So much for the battle for booty. This is by Privateer Press. The reason I'm bringing this up isn't because a ton of people are disappointed, because not a lot of people backed it. It isn't because they have a great font that other cool YouTubers have sometimes used. It is because they tried to do with their product the same thing Mythic Games did with their product. Yeah. So if you didn't know, Monster Apocalypse is actually from Privateer Press. And Mythic Games made a board game version of the tabletop game, and it sold very well and did very well. And so it looks to me like Privateer Press took their other tabletop stuff like Riot Quest and said, let's make a board game of it. It worked really well. Yep. And I'm not even going to deep dive into why this didn't work or anything like that. It's just simple enough to show how much you can have a great idea and you can have a great product. I'm sure Monster Apocalypse is great. I enjoyed it. I'm sure Riot Quest is great. But if you don't have the business around it and the business acumen to be able to actually run a campaign and launch it and do everything you need, well, it doesn't matter for anything. It just doesn't matter. Yeah. I always say this, like, you can have a shower thoughts, right? Yeah. Oh, and everybody's a great creator. Peterson, he's a great Sandy Peterson is a great creator, but he doesn't have the business. Yeah. Right? Without the business, it doesn't really matter for much. And that's just kind of the proof here. It was just interesting that they did the exact same thing right afterwards that Mythic Games did. And
maybe they were hoping to ride the coattails because Monster Apocalypse did very well.
It did very well. It made millions. And that's it. They're looking like our games are great. Yeah. If we make it into a board game, that's all this unlocked potential. But as you can see, there's more to it than just that. So last thing here is Harakiri Blades of Honor. Did you back this?
I did not.
You did not? Okay. That's fine. So the interesting point here, besides the fact that they're adding a whole bunch of stuff, so they're adding this guy, the Shinigami, so when you die, you can challenge him. There's no issue for losing, but if you do win, cool stuff might happen. So it's one of those things where
I like when games say, hey, we want to add some stuff.
Well, two things, right? Yeah, so first of all, they're adding to it, and we're going to see that more, but a lot of times board games punish you for failure, which introduces more failure. Yep. You get into this fail state, right? Like, oh, did you not win that mission? Well, now you're going to start the next mission at an even worse spot. Congratulations. Now you're at half health. You lost all your items, and all your money's gone. You're a homeless dude now. Congratulations. Good luck on the next one. So then you know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah. Like there's no rubber banding. Exactly. There's no catch-up mechanics in these narrative games typically. Yeah. Cooperative or competitive ones you do. But
so this one, if you fail, you can compete against this guy.
And nothing's bad if you lose.
Yeah, but if you might get a reward.
Something cool might happen. A little bit. Yeah. So I like being able to reward failure anyway. Kind of failing forward, right? That's kind of a neat idea. And again, all added to no cost there, which is kind of cool. They're adding metal coins. That one is not included in honor rewards. They're adding these neoprene like mats and dice trays and stuff. These are being added. So there's a lot of stuff that they're adding here. They improved the dice art, right? They got this new guy, Mitch Buchanan. You can go on and Google that if you want. It's a Baywatch character, and they keep calling him Mitch in like quotes. So I have no idea who this person really is.
Is this a real person?
Yeah, I don't know.
Mitch,
I don't know what's going on. Yeah,
Buchanan?
this Mitch guy over here is probably like some weird. I don't know what's going on there. The big thing though is really right at the top.
Yeah,
So
they're switching
the pledge
sites.
manager. Yeah, so they were going to do
pledge
Gamefound,
managers.
and they said no, they are not doing Gamefound. And the reason is, and I don't think a lot of people know this. So the guy who's doing the Limbo Miniatures pledge manager is one of my patrons. So I've been able to talk with him a lot about the back end. I've seen the back end of the Gamefound. And there's actually two versions of Gamefound. There's the one, if you launch the campaign on there, where they get a lot of the money, you get a certain version of the Pledge Manager. And if you launched somewhere else, like on Kickstarter, and then used it as a free Pledge Manager, well, I mean, they're not going to get a lot of money, but you also get a different product.
Yeah.
And one of the things
A dumbed down version.
Exactly. One of the things it requires you to do is when you launch it, you have to have shipping day one. You have to have the dimensions in and all
your
that
estimated shipping cost must be charged to the people filling out your pledge manager
the moment the pledge manager opens. Now, obviously, they did not want to do this because that's a huge risk.
Tell me, is there been any situations recently where
I've never heard of any shipping issues on Gamefound at all. None whatsoever.
I've been a big proponent of charge shipping when we are finalizing addresses.
Yeah, it should be literally like a 2-week window,
Yeah.
and that's only to accommodate people like on vacation or
Yeah,
something.
you
and
have-
when you are ready to like book the ship.
Yeah, you finalize your address, and we now have the shipping costs. Now there are issues with that a little bit. That's the back end that we don't know about when they have to reserve their slot on a boat. The cost of when people talk about the cost of shipping is go up, that's what they're talking about. Because it used to be $15,000 to get your.
It used to be
freight.
more weight, and now it's more space.
Yeah, and now
is
it's
really the issue.
$200,000
Exactly.
So a lot of times your shipping cost goes to that, but because of that increase, we went from $30,000 to $200,000. If you had estimated your shipping previously, now there's a huge gap.
Yeah, and like what the heck are you going to do with that?
Yeah, and there's games
Launch
right now.
kitten campaigns, and you know.
So what he's referring to, Awaken Realms
did it. Yeah, there were 200,000 deficit, right?
which is actually probably the best thing they can do. Either they're going to eat the cost, or they're going to say, "Hey, here's a limited edition campaign."
I mean, any product launch is a risk.
Yeah.
Like if 5 people have backed that kitten thing, now they have to produce the kitten thing on top of that.
True, more
ship it
SKUs.
still out.
More SKUs.
Exactly. And now for like 5 people, so like it's always a balance. Awaken Realms is pretty safe with what they do, right? But it's always a risk to launch more product as a reaction. That's almost like launching another Kickstarter campaign.
But that's why they do something
opinion.
that they're going to like kittens. I mean, it's going to people are going to buy cats.
Yeah. Well,
You can
that
do
and they've done it
puppies.
before with Nemesis.
Yeah.
Right. Same thing. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So anyway, they are going to this Kick and Go Pledge Manager,
Who?
which I don't know. I'd never heard of it. They like it because it's both in English and Spanish, and they are Spanish speaking, so I can understand that. I have no problem with competition in the campaign space. That's not inherently a bad thing, but I had never once heard of them. It means I'll have to open a new account with them.
Yeah,
and
so that was my concern is, there's CrowdOX, we've got BackerKit, we've got Gamefound. Those are the 3 big dogs in terms of pledge managers who have been very successful in making sure everything is handled well.
Yeah.
Do you feel at all nervous about going to it? Do you think Kick and Go is going to handle it? Do you think there's going to be any issues with the?
Well, they're leaving Gamefound, who can't handle it, right? Which is like
they're
like,
in the sense that they Harakiri, right?
yes.
They want to charge shipping later when they have a better
Correct.
idea of costs,
Yeah.
which is good on them. Obviously, Gamefound says we can't support you, so they have to go somewhere. I thought they would have gone to BackerKit, because I think
BackerKit's one of the most expensive one,
and that's probably why they're making this change, is because it's so expensive to have that service. And you're going from Gamefound, who was free, so they probably didn't even budget for a pledge manager.
Correct.
Yeah.
But now they are offering metal coins, so there is that.
At a cost, though, right?
Yeah. So, and that's where like hopefully they
To
have
make
a
up
pretty
for
good
the cost of the
course. Yeah.
PM.
Yeah. There you go.
We just talked about this in terms of a company is going to find any way to offset their
just said
costs.
this,
in some manner. Like, the metal coins don't cost them 15 euros to make. They're trying to offset their costs.
Well, and it's just like dice. Like dice are one of the best ways to make money because you can change the plastic color that you inject the same mold with and charge extra for it.
Yep. Yeah.
and the mold costs almost nothing, and you can batch them pretty well. And so it's just kind of interesting. The problem is that these pledge managers are much more complex than even the Kickstarter, right? They have to handle all these different
they're the ones that's
countries
handle,
that are doing this. They have to deal with taxes. They have to deal with like are you shipping it by item, by size, by weight? What if they're combined? What if you do the pledge manager or a pledge cost, like a bundle? How much is a bundle compared to adding all the items? And like it's
I guess the best thing that I could say is that someone's got to be the first person to try it. They take the jump, right? In terms of a bigger game.
Yeah.
Because I've not had a single pledge manager go here to Kick and Go.
No, me neither.
Someone's got to be the first person. If Harakiri's going to be it, I'd rather be a game I didn't back because I want to see. We got to have someone.
Thanks a lot. Yeah,
we got to have someone be the guinea pig.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like what was it with the Easy Pay? Was that no? That wasn't Dragori Games.
It was Chronicles of Drunagor.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the game.
Creative
Game Studio, Game Studio, right? Yeah. Doing the whole easy pay, weird crap, and
trying
all that kind of stuff, right?
As accommodating to everyone as possible. And screwed themselves.
Screwed them in multiple ways. Yeah. So anyway, just kind of interesting to see people either do Gamefound and say I'm not doing this again, which I've heard from a few creators, and people that are saying no to even the proposition, because what this thing says here is that they even asked like, hey, can we do it, and they were told no.
And they say that no, those other people were special conditions for whatever reason.
The people who didn't do it got a special accommodation, which that's one of the things Gamefound's really good with, is they will accommodate. That's where the easy pay thing came in, right? It's like they will work with you. Maybe sometimes. Yeah, it looks like they're doing less and less of that, and I cannot blame them. That's
and they're also trying to push people to use their platform.
Yes, because and again, you get different tool set.
Different levels with their pledge manager.
Exactly.
I know that all of King of Average's audience is very much enthralled with pledge manager discussion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, what else would you do on like a fine Tuesday or Wednesday than
talk pledge managers? You see two guys.
I don't know.
Ramble about it.
So
that's it.
Yeah, that's it. So guys, this is obviously the first, probably in a series. We'll do a couple more for sure. See where we can improve. Any feedback is welcome, of course, especially if it says how amazing we are. We very much appreciate that. Yeah, that's great. If you only have something nice to say about anybody, pick me, not him. You can take it a lot better than me. He is linked, of course, Game Brigade, down in the description below. Go ahead and give him a follow or a
subscription is what we're doing here on YouTube.
Oh, okay. Is that how this works?
Yeah, and so if you're wondering, if you still are watching, we appreciate one for watching all the way to the end. Basically, on my show, I do deep dives onto Kickstarter campaigns where I talk about the should we be backing this campaign, looking at the overall gameplay, overall costs, shipping, everything, and kind of give you my opinion on where I sit. And then I do, top 10s, reviews, standard stuff you see on
typical good stuff,
everything you see. But you obviously are getting my opinion rather than someone else's opinion.
Yeah, and you reviews the crappy board game tables, right? I mean,
and we're using it right now. I mean, I am open.
Slipped, so I'm good.
I am looking for a new board game table. My wife hates this table, and I just don't know what to do with it. You want to buy it?
No. Well, you're not a good salesman. Is the problem with that? Yeah. Anyway, we might do something kind of like this for maybe a top 10, right? We're gonna kind of play around with it and see. I don't know. He's a cool guy, so I like talking to him.
I honestly thought about forcing him to play games that he wasn't interested in playing. It will happen. I just have to find the right game. In fact, I have one that's like a cave farmer game. Have you played that one?
Shoot, yeah, dude. I'm busy building a shrine to that.
If we get enough Patreon support, maybe those guys talking will influence you.
Yeah. If you back at a crazy level of Patreon on my Patreon,
your Patreon.
Then I will farm some caves,
right?
And you can hear the most whiniest, complainiest dude farm some caves and have you poop out rubies out of donkeys and child labor. I don't know, it's weird. Anyway, meandering ending, but seriously, I would love your feedback. I know Brian would love your feedback. Let us know what we can do to kind of keep working on this, and we'll just kind of iterate on this and keep going.
Talk to you guys soon.
Yeah, we'll talk to you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.